I am here today with Troy Springer. He is the president of Elevate Production Group. How you doing today, Troy?
Fantastic. Good to be with you.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you. How are things going in Detroit these days?
Hey, look, in Detroit, things are going really well. Our industry has really been busy. I think we've all kind of stepped up to the plate and we've met the moment. And we're looking forward to a really good 2023. We had a really good fall in terms of weather, which is always a plus here in the upper Midwest, as some refer to it as. But you know what's coming after this. We're ready to embrace the winter. We got my long johns ready. So whatever the elements toss out at me, I'm ready to run with it.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I see Detroit at the top of a lot of visitor lists these days, especially domestically. What kind of things are going on in Detroit?
I think we're seeing it all. And it's a great cross-section, diversity of sectors that are choosing to kind of, come and explore and experience Detroit, from manufacturing to technology, to, people with architectural niches, even some of the multi-tier marketing programs have made their way to Detroit and have had a really good experience. So we've seen it all, and I think the city has really embraced them.
That's awesome, man. That is great. I mean, I've heard nothing but an amazing buzz about the city. So, Troy, we know what you're doing today, but maybe give us a little background, a little history on yourself. How did you get where you are today?
Oh, well, it kind of started way back in the 1900s, as I as I refer to some of our younger folks in the industry. It's kind of funny. While I was an undergrad, I had an opportunity to work with a company that was already producing great events in the industry, and I was doing it, basically as a freelance employee. And I thought the work was really fun. It gave me an opportunity to engage with people and actually learn, business through, kind of an unorthodox model, or at least it was at the time. And I was a little curious about it, but I was like, man, how can you have this much fun and really kind of make a living at it? But I went on, kind of completed undergrad, but kept a relationship with that organization, and went into a kind of a normal traditional profession. And I still had that itch, and had a long talk with the owner of that company, who ended up becoming my mentor, and he offered me an opportunity to kind of come on board and really jump in hands on. And so glad that I did, because he really, what's important in having a mentor like that is he kind of taught me how to score the ball. And he's like, this is kind of like what you do, from practice to first down, 4th and 10, what's your play, to actually putting it in the end zone and onboarding a new relationship. So that was very helpful. I became very comfortable with what we were doing and what we were able to deliver. And kind of fast forward, he stepped away from the business and kind of had given everyone in the sales role an opportunity to kind of start their own thing. And so I was like, hey, I've kind of made it this far. Why not take a stab at it? And you blink, and about 15 years goes by, and you're kind of still in the business. Still feeling fortunate to be where I am today, and would not have regretted this, one iota. So
That is awesome. That is awesome. So take us to where you are today, right? Tell us a little bit more about Elevate Production Group.
absolutely. So we are a turnkey corporate meeting and event management company. We always like to say we really help our clients kind of confront the challenges of implementing technology and design concepts into live event and meeting platforms. So typically, if we find ourselves working in what we call this business theater environment, 1, 2, 3 action, send the first presenter. That is usually, kind of where we had found our niche, found our comfort zone, and working in those environments. But it evolved, because there's so much things that encompass the live meeting and event industry. And so, when we, moved into areas of, for example, logistics, we do a lot of work with the local Detroit Grand Prix, which is a nationally televised race, brings a lot of eyeballs to the city of Detroit. We're very proud to be a part of that. But, in our role is assisting with guest movements and sports fan experience. And that's very hands-on, kind of on your feet. And, you know, we love it. And so we consider ourselves very adaptable in that space, and really look to find partnerships within our clients. So we don't like the wham bam, thank you, man. Excuse my French. We want to develop a relationship with you. We want to grow old together. We want to be on a swinging porch and talk about the events we did 10 years ago. No matter if it was a small press conference or it was your large leadership conference for over 1,000 people. We want to be there for you every step of the way.
That is awesome, and I think that, in your industry especially, I mean, the evolution of where we are today has been it's been rapid, to say the least, right? I mean,
Yeah,
everybody went into the pandemic, and then everybody came up with a new way to talk.
yeah.
Now we're coming out the other side with a little bit of old, a little bit of new. I mean, what are you seeing these days?
Man, you hit the nail right on the head. So it was like, you know, it kind of with the pandemic, you know, everyone, you know, I feel like in the industry, we were doing great. We were comfortable with the kind of systems that we had in place to help people deliver their messages. And you're right. The pandemic forced a lot of us to roll some things back and really make a commitment to a pivot. And that's what we did, because we still had clients that had needs to kind of communicate a message, and they were still kind of looking to us for some of those solutions. And you know, look, you know, yeah, you know, in full disclosure, I've never worked in a television studio, but that's essentially, you know, what we had to, you know, learn how to do pretty quickly to kind of satisfy those needs. And once we kind of started to think about it, those elements of the studio were always, within our tool belt. We have cameras on live event, we have audio on live event, we have lighting and all of those things, but it's just now kind of moved into, you know, a smaller space. And now the conduit is, you know, actually, you know, the internet as infrastructure to kind of stream that out. But there was a learning curve, because, you know, that technology is very, you know, very complicated. And now you're relying on the internet to kind of send this message out in a very meaningful and uninterrupted way. So figuring out those messages to do that, and still considering the end user who's watching it, to make it feel like they're a part of this experience with interactivity, high res visuals and video, to kind of keep them engaged. And we also learned that the length of time that they wanted to be engaged was shorter. You know, where you would have conferences that sometimes could go an entire day or multi-day. And I was like, look, you got about 90 minutes with these folks, you know, because they've got these other external factors, because most likely they're sitting at home. They understand that the dinner bell may be ringing in their own home. Kids are coming home, wanting to be home working. Got the Amazon person hitting the bell like every 30 minutes. That's how it was in my house. I mean, so, so let's be real. Let's help, get this information into a nice package, and we'll put a bow on it and we'll send it downstream. And and that's the way it'll become the most impactful. But essentially it's like building the plane while flying it during those early days of COVID. But I'm so glad that our group, our team, was able to make that pivot.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked to a couple of people in your space, and everybody said the same thing, right? It's the kind of jump and grow your wings as you're falling kind of thing. And
Yeah,
everybody's learned, quite a bit. But we're here now, right? And we're starting to see corporate business dip its toe back into the marketplace. I
right.
mean, I know, we're on the verge of a recession. We've got inflation, all these other economic conditions. But let's face it, companies want to get back out again. Companies want to meet. Are you starting to see the business come back on your side as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I don't want to belittle the idea of the recession that is looming, but I don't see the effects, at least through the second or third quarter of next year.
Right.
And I
Right.
think we have been pent up for so long and isolated from one another. Perhaps the mentality is like, recession be damned. We're not going to go back into these caves and isolate. We see the value in bringing people together and having them back in these spaces that they can share experiences and exchange information, and just kind of learn to kind of network in a meaningful way again. So I'm all here for that, in whatever format that you need to do it in. What we still do see there is an element of a hybrid option where maybe travel hasn't came back for a lot of organizations like it did. So if you're doing like a regional conference, there may be something where you kind of offer a link out or a portal for people to kind of view it in other regions. But for the most part, I feel like live events are dare I say robust and dare I say welcomed. There was some small trepidation at the beginning, and trying to adhere to certain social distancing and kind of keeping people safe while they reacclimate to what was their old normal, while they reacclimate to that. But I'd like to think that's come full circle, and within the last couple of months here, I've been in rooms, hundreds of people, and so it's been great.
Yeah, well, I think you're absolutely right as far as, a softer session goes. I think it's, most people probably won't let it impact their business decisions right now. I think that, not only is there that pent up demand that people have for traveling again and getting back to these conferences, but it's almost become necessary, right? I mean, if you want to grow your business and you want to accelerate that growth, eventually you're going to have to get everybody together and talk to them. Is that what it feels like to you?
Absolutely. And it's great to see that connectivity. I'll give you an example. We did a conference with some thought leaders who had came to us from all the Philadelphia area. And pre-pandemic, when you sometimes allow certain groups to kind of go into breakout sessions, you'll check on them, and sometimes they're getting a little bit off topic, off focus. They may be making paper airplanes. This wasn't the case. When we had this group in, and they were in breakout groups, they were down to business. And I was like, this is what we miss. Pens were out, notes were being taken, ideas were being, they were just not off topic. And this was about 12 groups, and they were on it. And I was like, this is what people miss. And I hope that it was it was like riding a bike for them. I hope that they enjoy, kind of being back in that space and being able to sit actually across, from people that they know professionally, know and love professionally. So it was great. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you touched on something before, right? Everybody's attention span is shorter. I talked to somebody in your industry who was saying, look, if you're not changing the topic every 15 minutes or changing the turn every 15 minutes, you're probably going to lose people now. And it's just a byproduct of where we are today. Are you seeing any other trends like that? Anything that came out of, post-pandemic life that if I'm hosting a meeting, I should probably start thinking about?
Yeah, so I would say to definitely keep that in mind, and you want those what people see in front of them to continue to kind of be dynamic. And so it's always nice to kind of incorporate, some type of video that they can that's relatable, in their industry. I think choosing the right, speakers, whether it's for keynote, to make sure that they're engaging. And now I think more people are actually willing to, engage with technology from their seats. Can ask questions of the moderator, make certain comments, engage with social media, because it's quite frankly, it's like an extension from what they were doing when they were watching it virtually. So some of those things, I think they still want that to be a part of it. And they may more than likely exchange information that way, because is one of the tools that these virtual platforms had afforded us.
That's
One
really
of them
interesting.
that was
No, go ahead.
that's interesting, that kind of popped up, and I'm not sure where it's going to go, and it's the metaverse. And I know that one thing I will say about the corporate climate is that there's just been a range of different products and opportunities to engage people, that they've been very open to employing a number of different of these tools. And as I'm trying to dive in and look at and see who's utilizing and getting a return on investment in the metaverse. And I think it kind of bubbled up, I would say kind of midsummer, where there was some activity around it. And I think there's a residual effect just around virtual communication. But I think it started to wane. Dare I say, it started to wane a little bit as people got more comfortable and kind of being, back in, the live event, face to face kind of space. So I know that there was a lot kind of invested in that, and everything. I try and jump on and follow some of these trends in our industry. What's being written online. And for a while, I thought that this metaverse was going to be, this next new thing here, since sliced bread, and we haven't gotten on our end a ton of inquiry about it. So I'd wonder to see, if that's something that may resurface, during the winter months. Will people say, hey, maybe we can do, a version of this, kind of incorporating this technology? But I think everything's pretty much fair game out there.
Well, yeah, I think everybody's trying to figure out what's going on with the metaverse and, is it viable and, you know, is there adoption and does it make sense? I know that everybody operating a virtual remote environment is hoping that something comes along different than, Zoom or Google
Yeah,
Meets or Citrix or whatever it is that we're Teams that everybody's using. 'Cause I think
exactly.
everybody's already getting pretty tired of that,
Yeah,
as
I
it
think
works.
so. I think so, and I think even though I'm not Mark Zuckerberg, but maybe the launch of the metaverse and in the way that it was launched, maybe it was 8 months, a little behind schedule. Maybe then that environment where our options were very limited to kind of be in person. That would have been something that, hey, this takes our industry into a very different realm.
Yeah, yeah. You see, so I'm gonna go personal here for a second, right? So I operate a remote company. We're all over the country.
Okay.
We got together. We had a great meeting. Tons of energy. It was awesome seeing in everybody. I mean, just like you said. I mean, when the breakouts happened, no paper airplanes. Everybody was collaborating. We get back. Everybody's remote again. We're operating remote again.
Hmm.
you know, energy gone, right? Like we have some things that we do to spike the energy. We have some things to have fun with, but if you've got people who are using you to put on these amazing events, and I'm assuming you knock it out of the park,
Yeah.
they've got to go back and then have meetings again virtually and run their companies virtually. Do you have any thoughts or ideas on what they can do to maybe spice it up, make those meetings a little bit better, or some trends that may work?
You know what? Absolutely. I would say, length is also a factor. We talked about attention spans, and I think I'd rather have 30 good minutes with my team than 190. So kind of and then send out I always say agendas. Just kind of go out, let people know what you want to tackle, bring it, so they can come prepared with thoughts and ideas. And that way, those interactions can be certainly much more impactful and meaningful. And there's still some things that if you want to kind of do some gamification kind of mixed in with your meetings, those kind of things are still available. Anything from like a fun quiz through even like a team building activity. There's some great resources out there to kind of incorporate some of those elements. Hey, we're gonna take a break and we're gonna do some type of game or activity in small groups. Come back and we'll kind of pick things up. So I think there's still some ways that you can kind of spice those meetings up, and they're very necessary. I think to a certain degree, a portion of it has become utilitarian. Kind of communicating through these means. So sometimes it is what it is. Let's hop on. Let's keep grinding this out. We know we love each other. We'll meet again, here in person soon. But let's get down to the nitty gritty and keep things humming around here.
Love it. I'm just taking notes here, right? My team's gonna be listening to this episode thinking, oh, okay, Chris, we got to get some of these things rolling because your
Right.
meetings get a little stale. So Troy, one of the things I love about you, man, is you've got a great vibe, you got a great attitude, you got a lot of energy here. How are you getting that? How are you sharing that with your team and getting them up on your level when you guys are getting up to put on these events?
Man, I hope the energy is definitely transferable. I feel like I'm blessed to be surrounded by some really like-minded folks. I think we really found ourselves in a good place where we enjoy what we do and who we do it for. And, just kind of go out with a mantra, kind of stay hungry, stay humble. And we do everything that we can to make sure that we're invested in our partners and our clients. We want to see these initiatives and these programs go really, really well. And it's just a genuine interest oftentimes in even what they do and what they're trying to accomplish. And, we bring a certain expertise to the table that I know they appreciate, but in return, I also appreciate what we have the opportunity to kind of be in a room to witness. And, whether it's healthcare, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's, kind of technology driven, it's just interesting to kind of hear all of the thoughts and ideas and ingenuity kind of coming out of these organizations. And so, part of what we're able to do is like, if we saw something that kind of, worked, for a manufacturing clients, like we can, share it with one of our healthcare clients, say, you want to, can maybe try this in one of the meetings. And, we saw it work on this other side, so we can help them exchange ideas with each other without them kind of even knowing it, and maybe take a little credit for it in the meantime.
I love it. I tell you, Troy, there's a massive market out there for benchmarking best practices for virtual meetings. I think you Google it and there's results and everybody's like, yeah, tried that. There's absolutely a space there to be able to figure out how somebody like yourself with your energy and your focus and your background, man, start sharing the wealth. We got to find a way to get that all out there so we people can start picking up some best practices here.
Absolutely. Here I was thinking it may have been common knowledge. I love to be in a forum where I could share, because everyone, deserves to have the best experience possible when it comes to those settings.
There's so many people that used to lead in person, right? Myself included, 20 years at a site-based business. And then, now a couple of years running virtual teams. And so I think there's a lot of assumptions made that everybody's got this down. And, as many people, have learned how to do the virtual stuff, now we're all going to have to come back and learn how to do the in-person stuff again. And it's really not like flipping a switch, it's a little education there.
I completely agree. It's still interesting to see, people, it's like, man, I haven't seen you in a year and a half. And we've been working for the same company, this whole time. How's the family? How are you doing? And so it's just a different level of interaction when we all kind of show up in the Hollywood squares, or on the screen. Sure, we're seeing a version of each other, but kind of seeing someone in person, it's probably a little bit more gratifying. But yeah. I do say we have learned to kind of function in this space, and to our organization, still, does a weekly meeting, virtually. And it is not something that we haven't evolved from that point, kind of coming out of the pandemic. And we just said in the last couple of weeks, we've got to be, really intentional about making sure we incorporate, more of this type of meeting in person.
Love it. Yeah. I love it. So Troy, as we're wrapping up here, I always ask a question at the end of this, which is, the advice question, right? And so I want to reframe this a bit. What kind of advice would you give yourself when you were getting into the industry, if you had a chance to be able to travel back in that time machine there?
Advice to myself from when I first started the industry. That is a great question. I just, what? Here's what it would be. Here's what it would be. Okay, stick with me. So when I first started in the industry, I'll take it to when I first kind of started on my own. And, it kind of had this unnecessary bravado. It's like, I'm going to do this by myself. I'm going to, shoot off like a rocket ship and have so much success here on my own. I don't think I need any help. I understand, how this business operates. I know this, I know that. I don't need that. I can do it. I can do it. And I would tell my young self, it's like the value of partnerships. Okay. Because, I learned it sitting inside of a conference, and to remember it, hitting me like a lightning bolt to this day, where the moderator had simply said, um, Bill Gates owns probably less than 20% of Microsoft, and he seems to be doing okay. And I was just like, I don't know, it was weird. It was like my aha moment. And it's just like, being able to understand that you don't have to, kind of move this boulder up the mountain yourself. And the moment that was a realization for me, I formed a partnership, a great partnership with someone that I have right now, and it's really helped, kind of move the needle in a way that I could not have imagined. So, and that is the advice I would give myself. Probably spent a little bit too long just trying to do it all. I only had so much space in my Envoy back in the day. So
That's right. I love it. That is phenomenal advice. I think, everybody, especially with all the change that's happening out there and, it just everything that's moving right now, all the moving parts. I think everybody probably tries to take on a little too much of themselves and, the good
yeah,
ones, remember to build those partnerships, select
yeah.
the right people, and then trust them to run, right? Power them,
Yeah,
trust them to
because check
run.
this out. What you don't get is what you don't see. Those are like blind spots. And then, when you have someone else, another voice, someone else who's invested, someone else that brings another perspective, that is when, your view of the road becomes that much more clear. And you're able to look a mile, 2 miles down the road. So it's helped in so many ways. That is the advice I would give my young self right off the bat.
Love it. I absolutely love it. I hope everybody heard that because it's so important. That is great.
Yep. Yep.
So, Troy, if people want to find out more about Elevate Production Group, where are they going?
ElevateProductionGroup.com, ElevateProductionGroup.com. Please reach out, check out the site. It's just been revised. I think it will not be a waste of your time. And if there's anything that we could do for you, live meeting event format, please do not hesitate to reach out. You will get a call from me personally if that helps motivate you at all.
All right, Troy. Well, thank you very much for being with me today. I really appreciate it. And I wish you the best during the holidays, my friend.
Likewise. Love to do it again sometime.
Talk soon, Troy. Bye.
All right. Sounds good. Bye-bye.